regular meeting of the Belleville Zoning Board of Adjustment for May 2nd, 2024 will now come to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Anguita.
Here.
Giordano.
Here.
Mafucci.
Here.
Pedalino.
Here.
Rinaldi. Soriano.
Excused.
Soriano.
Here.
Milano. Vice Chair Bennett. Here. Chair Del Garcia.
Here. Okay, will everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? It's on this side.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Secretary, has notice of this meeting been given in accordance with the Sunshine Law?
Certification that the meeting has been advertised according to the Sunshine Law.
Okay. Has everybody looked over the minutes? Everyone? Any changes? No changes? Okay, let's see, was everybody here? Dan was excused, yes, okay. All right, do I make a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Mafucci, seconded by Mr. Soriano. Clerk, call the roll.
Anguita.
Yeah.
Giordano.
Take the floor.
Mafucci.
Yes.
Pedalino.
Yes.
Vice Chair Bennett. Yes. Chairman Del Garcia.
Yes. Okay, applications for adjournment.
Mr. Chairman, Council's name is Robert Gassio, and I'm seeking to adjourn ZB 2024-03 SROA Belleville property. The property in question, I'm sure everybody knows, is the old Wallace and Tiernan property that was converted to a storage facility in the 90s. My clients now own it, and they had some modifications they were looking to make. However, as of 9:30 this morning, I learned that they had some violations. They are from Florida. They were unaware of the violations, and there was an address issue. So we would like to seek an adjournment so that my clients can address those violations prior to presenting.
Do you want me to carry this to June, July, August, whatever you
I'd
say?
like to just have 1 month, if that's okay,
1
Mr.
month,
Chairman.
okay. So now, let me explain something. We're going to adjourn it to June. However, because I heard about all these violations this morning, in the event you want to amend the application, you realize you may have to send all new notices.
I understand that, and we may want to do that, Mr. Chairman. And it's possible we won't get it done in time, but I prefer to adjourn to the next regularly scheduled meeting in case.
No problem.
Thank you.
So we're going to adjourn that to June 6th. Oh, 6/6, 24. Okay, so anybody in the audience who is interested in this application, ZB 2024-03, SROA Belleville Realty LLC, that's at 25 Main Street and 6569 Main Street, blocks 9301, 9302, lots 1 to 19, or 119, I don't know what it is. This case will be adjourned to June 6th of 24, same time in this chamber. However, it may be adjourned again. It depends on what Mr. Gassion and his client wishes to do. Okay? And well, I didn't say that. Right now, there's no further notice, but if the application changes, you may get a further notice. Okay? Thank you very much. I assume you people in the back, that's why you were here.
Well, I'm here for that.
No, the last row. Because I met them on the elevator. Right, this is the case you were interested in?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a great day, everyone.
Got any other cases tonight?
Thank you. That's adjourned, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Thank you very much. It's good seeing everybody.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You've been absent for a while. Okay, so now, next case on the agenda is ZB 2023-07, 449, 451, Washington Avenue LLC. That's also the same address, 449, 451 Washington Avenue, block 7906, lot 5. Continued from the March meeting, the applicant is seeking to convert the first, actually it's not the first floor, it's the basement, from 2 small office units to 2 small residential units.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, Donald Rinaldi from DPW Rinaldi in Nutley on behalf of the applicant. I have 2 witnesses I plan on calling tonight. I have someone from the architect's office who's going to go over the renderings again. They were dropped off after the last meeting. They brought the copies in of the plans and the renderings. You want some clarification, he's going to give you the clarification. And I also have the manager of the building coming in to explain about the construction that was going on.
Would you want to delay until the manager comes here and we'll have another case? Whatever you want to do.
No, I think he should be here any minute.
All right, if you want to give
Okay,
me
I'll just
testimony
give-
first, I have no problem. I
Okay,
just like to
thank
give all the testimony in at one time, that's all.
Okay,
Mr. Rinaldi, I know this is your client's 5th time back here. Do you want to give a 2-minute summation as to what's going on?
And I want to point out to Mr. Giordano, this was not heard last month, so you can participate. Okay.
Just where we left it off?
yes, basically, and I know it's been a long and tough road, and I apologize. At the last meeting, one of the board members brought up some construction that was taking place there. I spoke to my client, and he said, well, you have to talk to Mohammed. His name is Mohammed Raza, he's the manager. He was doing something, I spoke to him, and he said, yeah, I went to the building department, we were gonna replace tile and things like that. I was told I didn't need any permits. We did what we had to do, and then they came out and inspected, and we got a CO. So he was gonna just testify to that, just to clarify, one of the board's questions. Then I have someone from the architect's office. He was actually here for the first meeting before Mr. Guzzo got involved, and he's going to go over the renderings and try to clarify them for you and clear up any misconceptions. I know you've been very patient. You've heard everything. I'm not going to belabor anything.
I'm not going to.
You've been more than patient, believe us. I can't believe the.
We all have that picture.
I'm here.
2 months ago.
Are you Mr. Sclafani?
Yes, I
Yeah,
am.
you were here in November.
I was the original
and
testifier for this
you-
project, yes.
You qualified as an architect, you're still under oath, and I'm assuming between then and now, your licenses remain in good standing.
That is correct.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening, board. Just a quick overview. I know Anthony Guzzo was here last time. We had a lot of concerns about the power washing of the brick, trying to get it, and we wanted to get the rendering a little bit more accurate to what this thing will actually look like for you guys as per your concerns. So we understand power washing, the brick is older, so we're going to power wash it, prep it, and then we're going to actually paint it. Right, so we're going to have a new coat of paint over the entire building, refreshing the entire look. We're going to patch, paint, and repair all the steel work that's also there. So the entire building will have nice new finishes throughout, and will match what we see here on the renderings that you guys will see.
Is that the previous rendering that we've seen?
No, so this is something that's been submitted after the last.
We got last month.
Yeah,
2 months ago.
I have
2 months
this.
ago. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, there was comments or concerns about the actual color of this brick.
All right. Okay.
But yes, so that is our goal with what we're looking to do for the building and answering your questions and comments from the last board. If there's anything else that you'd like me to address or...
Can you put that, whatever you got down there on?
Yeah, sure. This is the lower level plan right here. I also have the upper level plans if you need them.
In the lower level plan. And you were there and you filled that, and you made that out, or you're just making that the way it's gonna look?
The plans?
Yeah.
No, so what happens is, when you look at the plans briefly, all of the walls that are not hatched are all existing as they are there now. The only new wall is in unit 102, where you see where we're building behind the refrigerator, just to get some more counter space in this unit. All the other walls and everything else are existing in this unit.
Okay. And that's exactly the way it is?
From our initial measurement...
So you were there and you measured it?
My team was, yes.
Your team was?
Yes.
Where's the wall in the middle of the big square?
This one here?
Yeah.
It's in this storage space. I'm not sure if we went in there or not, but
You see the back where the doors open up?
this one here, yes.
There's a wall in the middle.
Okay,
Me and him both saw it.
okay.
We went in the back, we went down. Why is it on the rendering?
The plans here, we weren't doing any work in here, we didn't document that middle part. That center wall is just bearing from all the floors above, it lines up with the demising walls of the units above as well. Which we have all those plans too that I can show
Well,
you.
that's a fairly new wall. That wasn't from when the building was built, I can tell you that. That's a cinder block or a cement, or a cement block wall, and it's fairly new. It's not that old. Not from when the building was built, let's put it that way. I've been in the business a long time, and I can tell if it was that old. It wasn't that old. So I just asked why it wasn't on there, that's all.
That was just what we had at the time when we went.
Any other testimony? Any other testimony? From him?
From him, I don't have, if you have any questions.
Any questions by members of the board? Any questions by members of the public? None. Okay, you wish to call another witness, sir?
Yes.
Sir, if you
State
testify,
your name for the record and spell your last name.
if you could raise your right hand first. With regard to this application, do you swear the testimony that you're going to give is the truth?
Yes.
Okay, and could you state your name and spell your name?
Mohammed Raza, Mohammad Raza.
Thank you. Okay, starting all these.
Why don't you stand over to the left a little bit so I could, okay, look at me, I'm gonna ask you questions and then you can answer them. Well, I'd like, you heard some of the questions that were just asked about a wall in the basement. Did you hear those questions just now?
First, what is he to this
Oh,
application?
okay.
Is he the
Would you
owner?
explain who you are and how you're related to this application?
I sold this building to Mr. Duch, who owns the property now. But I know the building before that also. As a matter of fact, my broker, he owned this building before we sold it to Mr. Ivey.
Okay, and are you the manager of the building?
I do management on that building, yes.
Currently?
Yes.
So you owned the building.
No, I don't own it.
You did own it.
No, I did not.
You never owned it.
I never owned it, my broker did.
You just said that you sold it to,
No, we sold, my broker owned it, I worked for Century 21.
oh, we meaning the agency?
Yes, yes.
So you worked for the agency, and then you worked for the new owner.
Yes, I did.
So how long have you worked there?
For this gentleman, since...
No, not from this gentleman, the
about
older gentleman.
5 years.
5 years. So
About
totally, you only have knowledge of this property for the last 5 years?
Correct.
Total?
Yes.
And you manage the property now?
Yes, I did.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so
Do you live on the property?
No, no, sir, I don't.
You live in Belleville?
Lyndhurst.
You live in Lyndhurst?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
Question,
Go ahead.
just for the record, are you licensed as a realtor?
I'm sorry?
Are you licensed as a realtor?
Yes, I do.
And you're licensed, you said you're free to do
Yes.
property management, right? Is that correct? And what company do you work for?
Century 21, Samuels and Associates.
What town is that in?
New Jersey.
What town is that in?
Lyndhurst, New Jersey.
All right, good. All right, thank you.
So now you still work for them,
Sure.
and you work for him in addition?
Yes.
Okay.
right, but they no longer own the building.
My broker, Fernando Samuel, does not own the building anymore.
Who owns the building now?
Mr. Duch.
And you work for Mr. Douche now?
Yes,
But you still work for Century 21 also?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
So how many buildings do you manage?
Three buildings.
3 buildings.
At the moment.
2 from Century 21 and 1 from him?
We do all of his buildings.
All whose building?
Mr. Duch, that's including that building too.
Wait, let me ask you a question. You managing 3 of Mr. Douche's buildings?
Yes.
And how many buildings do you manage for Century 21?
That's about it.
Huh?
This is all I do manage.
So you don't work for Century 21?
I do work for Century 21, but I'm a realtor also. I do not do anybody else management.
Hold on before that. I'll just try to be a little transparent with the board. In order to be a property manager in the state of New Jersey, you have to be what? license as a realtor,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So this gentleman has to have the license somewhere hung up at a particular real estate company in order to be active as a property manager. So he's allowed to manage up to 50 to 100 properties
Yes, I can.
under that license.
But right now, he only manages 3,
For
correct?
the same owner, for the same
Yes.
investor, right? Is that correct?
Sure.
Okay, all right.
So you can do that and still have your license at Century 21,
Yes.
is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Yes,
Now that explains everything, very good.
sorry about that.
That's all right.
What I'd like to address first, we heard some questions about that wall in the basement that's not on this diagram. Are you familiar with that wall?
I am familiar with this building for the last 5 years, and I've seen this wall since 5 years.
And is it still there today?
Before, I don't know, sir, I don't know.
But what about today? Is it still there today?
Yeah, it's still there.
And it was there when you first got involved with the building 5 years ago?
Yes.
There was some testimony, or, I'm sorry, there was some comments or questions asked by some board members to me, the last meeting, which was 2 months ago. Apparently, there was some work being done at this building, and a board member, I think, stopped there and saw the work being done and questioned the people doing the work, and they said that they were, I'm not sure what they said, but they were obviously taking stuff out of the building. Has there been any work done at this building over the, maybe not this month or last month, but in the past?
Yes, we did.
Okay, what kind of work was done?
Similar, we updated a few apartments which are very old. We put the new cabinets, new appliances, paint, floor, we done the hardwood floor. Basically, that's what we did.
Okay.
Nothing was, which was required for the permit.
I have a question.
Sure.
Thank you, I appreciate that for you being honest right there, I appreciate that. Real quick, so when I witnessed the gentleman doing the work on the property, removing debris, they were coming exclusively from the bottom units on the right side. So what kind of work was being done on the bottom units? Can you explain that?
Unit number 3, which was vacant, and we done work when gentleman, he met the garbage truck guy. They were there at that time. I wasn't there, but he called me. He said there was a gentleman came from the city. He asked me questions, so he was there to pick up the garbage. We had a debris, we had a stuff which was the left from the tenant also, and those kind of stuff were in our bags. And some of the bags we put it in our basement because it was a snow, and we didn't want to put it outside, for parking outside. It was safe to put them in a basement. The time he came there, and the workers were taking bags from the basement into the garbage truck, also from the inside too. That's where I got called from the garbage truck.
All right, so just for transparency's sake, right? I understand that, okay, that's good. So there was a mixture of stuff inside those bags, including construction debris, is that correct? Yes or no?
I'm sorry?
There was a mixture of construction debris in that bag, so far as your knowledge is concerned.
I would imagine, yeah, hardwood floor, some other stuff, yes.
But you're saying, just a testimony that you gave, that some of the material could have been from other apartments, is that correct?
That was the apartment number 3.
All right.
Only apartment number 3.
All right, and just for everyone's knowledge here, apartment number 3 is located where? Apartment number 3 is located where in the building?
The same building, corner unit, right-hand side,
All the way to the bottom?
yes.
All right,
Bottom,
so that's
the bottom
basement
to
unit,
the
right?
top.
All right, so what I'm trying to get at, so that everybody understands, because if I understood you correctly, there was debris there from other apartments, is that correct, yes or no? There was debris present in apartment number 3
Yes,
that belonged to other apartments, yes or no?
no,
So that the construction debris only belonged to apartment number 3, which is located at the right-hand corner of the building, bottom unit.
the first floor unit. I call bottom floor is also the basement. So you go to 3 floors, 4 steps down, it's the bottom floor.
Okay,
which is the basement.
so this is the question then.
Sure.
The debris that was being removed from apartment number 3, which is located on the right side of the building, bottom basement unit had construction materials that came from that unit.
Correct.
So therefore, you were demolishing the unit, is that correct?
I'm not the one who put the stuff in a garbage bag, so I'm not sure garbage, I'm assuming they were.
The question still stands. This is something maybe your counsel could also assist you with. Did you have permission to move and to destroy that building, demolish that building? That's the question without.
We did not demolish the building.
But you had construction materials inside those plastic
Yes,
bags?
yes.
Correct. All right.
Okay, so now
I
I'm getting...
apologize, I have a little brain problem, so
Okay.
No,
I apologize.
I want to interject here, 'cause let's get the story straight, okay? I now have the plan that he showed me. right there. And Unit 3 is on the first floor all the way to the right,
Correct,
not the basement,
correct.
correct? Now, is that what yous were taking the stuff out from? Or
From
was it
that
the
one,
basement?
also from that one, and the bottom is basement also from there.
Okay, so you were taking it from the basement apartment and the apartment right upstairs on the next floor, here?
This is what I saw the video, because we have a cameras. I wasn't there at the present, when they were taking the garbage.
Well, who was supervising?
I don't supervise when they were there. It was a snowing time, and I ordered the truck guy. Randomly he came, and
Well,
he
who
said, I'm
gave the
there.
keys to get in?
The workers, they had a key, it was open.
And who gives the keys to the workers?
Yeah, there was also help from the
Who
workers.
gave the keys to the worker?
I did,
Okay.
so,
So you directed them
yes,
where to do this work, correct?
correct.
Okay. You directed them to do 2 different units? The one on the first floor and the one in the basement? Right under each other?
Yes,
Okay. And that was the only, you didn't do anything from the left side?
not at all.
Only the right side?
Everybody's all occupied.
Okay. All right.
Okay, now, I'm still a little confused. So the work, what they saw coming out of there, didn't come out of the left side because they were all occupied, correct?
Yes, they are occupied because I saw the video, the owner sent me a video, and he showed me when the truck was there, a gentleman was from the city was there also, and they were talking, they were talking and they were putting the garbage in the truck. That's what I saw on the video.
Okay, but that truck was there because you told them to go there, correct?
Yes,
And
yes.
what did you tell them, what were they doing there? What did you tell them they had to do?
Pick up those debris, the garbage bags, and
From
This-
where?
from that apartment plus
Which
the basement part.
Okay, was that apartment 3 occupied or was it empty?
No, it was empty.
And do you know how long that debris was in that apartment?
Probably, I would say, 2 weeks.
Now, you said it was
Okay.
garbage bags debris.
Yeah, garbage.
So there was no construction debris?
Definitely, it was debris in the garbage bags for debris.
Or from construction?
Correct.
So what construction was being done in the first floor?
We done new cabinets, we have new appliances, floor was done new. The bathroom walls were new tiles. We had whole place was painted. And also the tenant who left, they left some of their furniture also.
Now, is this in the unit 3? Okay.
Unit 3.
That's
So-
unit 3. Now, what did you do in the unit that was the basement unit?
Nothing is still nothing, it's
So
supposed to
no
be out.
debris was taken out of the basement unit?
No, it's just empty.
And no debris was taken out that day?
The debris, what they bring it, from the
Upstairs?
top, they put it in there just in case when the truck comes, they can pick it up. It was a snowy day.
But there was nothing taken out from the basement apartment, yes or no?
No, nothing was, if it goes to construction, no. It was just sitting the debris of the first floor, unit 3, and they were adding there, and also from the unit 3 also.
So,
No,
let
the
me
first
just-
floor is unit 3. Let's get
Yes,
this
yes.
right.
Yes,
All right, let's not get confused anymore. First floor is where unit 3 is.
Yes.
On the right,
Correct.
extreme right.
correct.
And then there's the basement apartment, okay? Was anything taken out of the basement apartment? Very simple question.
Yes, Yes.
What was taken out of the basement?
Garbage bags.
What was in the garbage bag?
Debris of the unit 3.
Why were they in the basement if it were from unit 3?
For the record.
It's not that the basement is all empty, and they took a lot of stuff, and it was a snowing.
Back up.
They put it, I told them, put it, instead of putting outside, it's a snowing, put it in a basement, when the truck comes, just bring it.
In the basement unit,
Correct.
not
It
in the middle?
Okay.
No.
All right, okay.
Sure, let me,
What?
sir, please go to the rendering over here. I
Unit
think what
3
you're talking
is,
about, I know, but okay.
unit 3 is right there,
Right, that's the first floor.
and that's the basement.
Okay,
And that's, if you go 5 stairs down here, this is the unit, basement unit. And it's the top, right at the bottom of unit 3.
okay.
Where's unit 3? Point with your finger.
This is unit 3.
All right.
Unit 3. And right here, they add debris from the bags of debris here, and also they were cutting out. The truck came right here. The truck came backed out all the way right here. And it was easy for them to take the debris, put it on a truck.
All right, so the question from the beginning of this whole conversation when I was questioning you, was there any construction work done to that bottom unit? Can you
No,
point to it?
no.
Now you're saying no, but before you were saying yes.
I apologize,
This is the confusion
but I
happened
didn't
with this
understand.
whole application.
Remember I said I have a little hearing problem.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I can hear Mr.
You can hear him.
very
Because I got a
clear,
big mouth.
And I apologize.
All right.
I apologize, sorry.
All right, so that bottom unit,
Yes.
just for the record, you were storing construction material from other apartments, yes or no?
Not material. You talking about the construction material? Or are you talking about the debris material?
I was
Because the two
asking
things
you
are
construct-
happening.
Because I was asking you about construction materials because that's what it looked like the day that I recorded the video of the guys, the garbage guys, walking out with black plastic bags and it had construction materials in them. That's what I'm asking you. That's what I want to know. What's going on in that apartment? Did you knock down the apartment? Did you do a demo down there? I want to know that.
We did not do any demo on the basement apartment at all.
All right.
The all garbage bag, probably debris, the construction, everything, they were in a bags.
Okay.
The construction big bags. And they put it there, storage, and when the truck comes, they can take all of them in there. Some of them here, some of them were there. The truck came here, and I saw the front of it, because I told them, it's a snowing, do not put outside, because it's a very parking, and people have a hard time. If they have a debris, put it here at the storage, when the truck comes, you just pick them up and help them out to put it. That's all what happens.
All right. I got one more question.
Sure.
The basement apartments on both sides, what is their unit numbers?
Unit number 1 and 2.
They are 1 and 2. So 1 is the one on the right and 2 is the one on the left?
Opposite. One is on the left, two is on the right.
One of the, I'm not sure which one is the
See,
one.
I'm looking at the other rendering that's under there.
I think this, I think
They
this
go
is,
from
this
right
is
to
one,
left
and the other
on
one
both
is a 2.
floors.
I think this is a 1,
Yeah,
and this is because,
that
I
makes
assume
sense.
this is the becoming,
Because that's 3, the other.
this may be 2, because this is 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then you have a 7, 8,
Do we have
9,
the actual
and
plans
10.
of the basement? Does it say on the plans to the basement?
Yeah, 1 and 2. 1 is on the left, and 2 is on the right.
Oh, 2 is on the right.
Yeah.
So it goes left, right, upstairs.
Right.
Okay. Just answer, I wanted to get everything clear.
That's all right. Should I go stand
Yes.
here?
Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question for him real quick.
Okay. You
I
want
forget his name.
The architect.
Thank you.
Justice got that.
Thank you, Justin. So the last time that we were here, right, there was a question about the rendering, right? Because in a lot of, when we asked the other guy that was here, what's
Anthony Guzzo, principal of
Anthony
Adjourned.
Guzzo, we asked him, hey man, like, you said you were gonna pressure washer that, and Harry Potter magic was gonna happen, and the walls were gonna look like that. So that's what he said. So now you're saying that you're gonna paint the walls to make them look like that, is that correct?
Well, yes, the goal is we're still gonna power wash, clean, and prep, because if we just slap paint on that brick right now, that paint will never stay. We still have to clean, prep, and get that brick ready to receive the paint. And then once we paint it, you'll have a nice even coat, or it'll probably 2 or 3 coats of paint going over this brick. This actually helps seal the brick, does everything else, and give you a uniform look that you see in these renderings.
All right, so as far as like the parking issue that's there, like what are you guys gonna do with that area right there? Can you answer that
I
question, yes or
cannot.
no? You cannot
I'm
answer
an
that
architect,
question.
I can't answer
So
site
you're
stuff.
more the aesthetics. All right, I got it, man.
One more question of the architect.
Sure.
The basement apartments, or the basement units.
Units, sure.
We'll say units, because they're supposed to be commercial right now,
Right,
okay? How tall are they?
7'4".
Okay, thank you. Any other questions by members of the board?
I want to question Mr. Hertz. Sir, does that meet our like sub-basement standards and stuff like that?
That basement?
He's asking
No,
the
no,
engineer.
no.
I'm sorry.
I don't know the construction code.
I was told today
Yes.
they have to be at least 7 feet tall.
All right, so we're good as far as the
Absolutely.
sub-basement. All right.
Any other questions?
And with this new, I'm sorry, with this new rendering, there's no extra parking spaces, am I correct? It's the same.
No, this rendering is strictly serving as a visual application of what we can do to the facade.
So
of the
there's
building.
6 parking spaces, is what you're saying, right?
Whatever's there now is what's remaining.
I believe that was the
Yes.
testimony given.
Yes, we had talked about,
And currently you have 8 units there, and 2 commercial, correct?
yes.
All right. Any other questions by members of the board? None. Any questions by members of the public of either witness or to give testimony? You want to give testimony? Come on up, name and address, please. You realize you can cross-examine this testimony?
Yes.
It's comments or testimony?
It'll probably be the same thing.
Why don't I swear you in? If you could raise your right hand, with regard to this application, do you swear your comments and testimony shall be the truth?
I do.
Just state your name for the record.
Michael Shelby, 47 Floyd Street.
Thank you.
Just so that I'm clear and everyone else, this project, if approved, will consist of 10 units, total units, and only 6 parking spots. But under our current zoning ordinances, it would require normally 10 parking spots. So
As
the
far as
project
I
is
know, you'd
deficient.
have to ask Mr. Banda, but I believe that's correct.
The project is deficient for 4 parking spots.
Yes, or 40% of the parking that's required.
On a percentage basis,
Yes.
40%.
Okay.
During the first hearing for this project, I brought up the fact that the town council was making efforts to acquire the parking lot next door.
No good, because it hasn't been acquired.
All right.
So there's no way that that comes into
I was
this
going to
equation.
ask if there had been any developments.
You'd have to ask
There might
Mr.
have been-
Banda, he would know better
There might
than
have
me.
been a potential solution to this applicant if parking in the lot next door could be acquired.
Here's the key. Right now, as far as I know, the town don't own it.
Right.
Mr. Banda, am I correct?
You're correct, it's owned by Santander Bank. We
So-
reached out to them,
So it's
No,
moved.
fail.
So it's academic.
All right, all right. I just wanted to make sure that I clearly understood the parking situation. Requires 10, only 6 provided.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Giordano.
I have a question for Mr. Banda. Those units in the basement, they're commercial units,
right now they're supposed to be offices, I believe.
offices? So somebody could go in there and put an office in there and have
Good,
5, 6 employees.
they could. They could have 1,
They could have 1, but they could have 5 or 6 too.
they could be,
So that would be 5 or 6 more cars.
during the day.
But you have to remember, that is usually used during the day and not at night.
You can't assume that, we can't assume that.
Okay, you can't assume that.
Oh, you can't.
Stay open.
Any other questions by members of the board? None. You wish to
No,
sum up,
stay
sir?
open.
I'll be very brief. Okay. We started out with this photograph that was more into evidence on the first night. Number 3, this was actually back in February. We started this in February. And if you take a look at this picture, and you take a look at the rendering, if this building comes anywhere near that, it's a home run for the town. As I said, I passed this building my whole life in Belleville. I always thought it was an apartment building. It looks like an apartment building, it smells like it. If it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. This,
It is an apartment
in all
building.
respects, is an apartment. You guys have been so patient. and you can tell I don't like doing this. Two things I want to bring to your attention. Number one, this building is there. It's not like we're building a new building and we're asking for all kinds of variances. It's there now, and it's been there. Number two, the hardship that's created, and we talked about this the first time, it's not so much an economic, there's never been offices there. They tried. Nobody can put an office there because the way the parking is, you can't see the office from the sidewalk or the street. I wouldn't put my law office there, you can't see it. There's nowhere to put a sign that's visible.
So what you're saying is parking is an issue?
Pardon me?
So you're saying parking is an issue?
It's an issue because it blocks the stores. How are you gonna, who's gonna open a store and you can't see it from the street and you can't hardly put a sign there? And it's there now. It's not like we're asking for something new. So the way the building is located with parking in front kind of creates a hardship. Those units have been empty forever. Nobody's going to ever rent them for a store or for commercial. I know that we're asking for a use variance, and we have a heavy burden, but I think if you look at what's happening along Washington Avenue, a lot of people don't like it. I think it looks a lot better than it ever did before. Our clients, putting up apartment buildings down by ShopRite, great project with a rooftop deck and a pool. This looks like one of those projects. It's going to be so much cleaner. To me, it's a no-brainer, but I have to tell you something. You have the right to reject it. If you do, I have to say thank you, because you have the right to do that. You gave us a fair hearing. I asked about having someone to recuse themselves because they were almost a witness, but in retrospect, he went out there, he did his job, which he has a right to do, and he actually offered some positive comments tonight. But again, I thank you, and whatever the vote is, I can't complain. Thank you.
All right, members of the board, discussion. What?
I will ask the attorney a question.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I just saw the picture the rendering that you put up, or picture that you put up, how the building looks now.
Yes,
Yeah, that's how it looks.
And how you're proposing.
yes.
Is your position that the only thing that stands between how it looks now and how you want to look are those two basement apartments? Why couldn't?
Oh, no, they're going to clean up the building. That's, the building is going to end up looking like that.
No, I mean, why would you even worry about the two basement apartments, or the two basement
Units.
units at this point in time when you could
Okay.
maybe make the building look like that?
Because
Is it that much of a financial boom?
Here's what started. My client bought it, and if you remember the first night, we showed you that the contract was a 10-unit build, a 10-apartment building. It was advertised, and he bought it as 10 apartments. He goes to town hall, and he finds out, after he bought the building, that there were only 8 apartments and that the basement was commercial. He had no idea the basement was commercial because the basement had kitchens in it. He went to look at the building, and it looked like 2 apartments down there, and it's advertised as a 10-apartment building, and he bought it as a 10-apartment building. Now, all of a sudden, it's only 8 apartments, and he realizes there's never going to be anyone that's going to put an office there. And he, of course, wants the income from that because he bought it as a 10-apartment building.
But he didn't check into it first, did he?
Well, it was advertised as a 10.
I don't care how it's advertised, I own property too. You have to check and see what it's listed for.
Well, maybe he didn't, but, he had an attorney, maybe he should have done that. But if you look at your own records, it's gone back and forth from 8 units to 10 units. But again,
Well, also, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the new zoning law is that you have to have commercial on the ground units, all of Washington Ave. Am I correct, Mr. Harris?
right, you're correct, and if you look at
That's
every
why
one of
there's a
those,
defect.
if you look at every one of those projects, and our office has done 2 of them so far, you don't have commercial halfway underground. It's level with the sidewalk. Unfortunately, this building...
So you're saying the commercial should be on the first floor, not downstairs? Is that what you're telling me?
Well,
Well, if commercial is required
Right.
under the town ordinance,
So, yeah,
Where
I guess,
should the
I guess in
commercial be
theory,
in this
we could
property?
change the first floor. Look, the building has been there forever.
I'm not arguing that point. I'm just saying, where should it be in the event that they have to comply with the statute?
But there's so many buildings on Washington Avenue that don't, there's an apartment building across the street with nothing but apartments. The thing is, this building has been there forever. I think you have
I have a
a question.
question. You said that the two bottom units have kitchens?
I think the two bottom units now.
You think or you know?
I think that they were set up as apartments. I'm pretty-
Illegally
Do
then.
they have
Yes, oh.
kitchens? Do they have kitchens, yes or no?
I don't remember. I remember that they were,
Did you ever actually go and inspect the property?
not on the inside, but from the outside.
From the outside, but never on the inside?
No,
Okay.
No.
So the answer is you
What?
can't give an answer.
but I'm pretty sure that and perhaps, could I ask Mohammed?
Excuse me, sir. Just so I'm clear, you said that the owner went in there, he thought it was 10 apartments.
Right.
Because he saw kitchens in there.
Right, I'm pretty sure.
So he was
that
renting it,
Mohammed
so-
is here, he could,
Yes,
Could you
there,
go?
I'm sorry. Yeah, there is the kitchen also. It's not a full kitchen, but it's a kitchen there.
All right, there's a
both
kitchen.
units.
Hold it.
Both units, both units.
There's a kitchen. Is there a shower down there?
Yes,
Is there a stove down there?
Yes,
In each unit?
Okay, and
in
you
each-
were renting apartments down there?
no.
You weren't renting apartments. So
These
what
are-
were you renting during the years before he bought the property?
Since I know 5 years the building, those downstairs is always empty.
They've always been empty, okay.
Empty because they're supposed to be offices.
Yes, Mr. Vito.
I have a question. The question that I originally wanted answered from the beginning of this whole thing right here. Are those kitchens, bathrooms there presently? Yes or no?
If they were,
Are they
still
there?
Are they
present?
there now?
Yes
I
or
think-
no?
yeah, they are present now.
So
yes.
no one knocked anything down?
No,
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
I think that that's what started this. They went in there to do renovations, and that's when he was told they can't do apartments.
Wait, now they did renovations?
No, this whole thing started when my client, after he purchased it,
Yeah.
they went in to the building department, and they wanted to start doing renovations, starting with the first floor, and that's when they learned that they couldn't be apartments, they had to be offices.
Oh.
And that's what started the whole process.
Couldn't get a CO, no problem. Okay.
there's also, I'm sorry, there's a parking beside this 6, it's a long driveway, you can park.
No, you can't. That testimony's already been given. Don't even go there. I'm sorry.
I have nothing more to add. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else, any questions or any discussion? I'll open discussion. This should be, right now is 8 units. It only has 6 parking spaces, 8 residential units. Now, we've had cases before where we've heard where they wanted to change commercial to residential. And we did not go for it because it didn't have parking. This is the same situation. You only have 6 parking spaces. Some people have to work during the day. I doubt nobody works in this place. But even if they don't, at night, you have 8 units that are being used, and most people have at least 1 car. I've seen 1-bedrooms where they have 2 cars because they have a husband and wife, and both of them have cars. So this is deficient by a minimum of 4 parking spaces. But if they go to work during the day and there is commercial downstairs, there is some parking for the commercial units. Whether there's 1 employee to, these are small units, they're not really that big that you're gonna have 5 employees. I doubt that very much, okay? My feeling is this application should be denied. It does not comply with our ordinance for Washington Avenue. And it's deficient parking just with what it's got. So that would be my position. It's always good to give a reason why you're voting yes or no on an application in the event there's an appeal, okay? So anybody else want to give their opinion? Oh, yeah, okay, no problem.
I want to clarify something so there's not a problem down the road. Counselor, during your comments, you made mention about Mr. Angita seeing the property.
Yes.
And I don't know whether you were kidding or not about recusing himself, because he's a witness.
Well,
I just didn't know what you meant by that. I don't want the record
I
to
mean, I made,
be unclear.
I made a motion to have him recuse himself.
You did?
Well, I thought I brought it up, okay? It's obvious that he went out there, he did a video. In my mind, that's what he made up his mind, that this shouldn't be what we're asking for. He actually almost gave testimony tonight.
Well, I did too, because I said about the wall, because me and Mr. Soriano, now, everybody's allowed on this board to do an inspection of a property. If what we find there disqualifies us, then everybody will end up getting disqualified who goes to look at a property.
If you go there and you see something and it's there, it's there.
Yeah.
What this board member did is he was interpreting what he was seeing.
Which was
and in
cleared
his
up
mind-
tonight.
In
Which was
his
cleared up
mind,
tonight.
they were working there illegally, okay? Yeah, if he thinks,
But I believe he got satisfied with the answers he got tonight.
And I don't know what all that had to do with this application. I mean, there was a question as to when.
okay, then I'll make a motion. I think that he should disqualify himself because he practically gave testimony tonight, and I'll say it, I think he should disqualify himself.
I don't see it, but I can tell you right now, if he disqualifies himself, I believe you only have 7 members. 6 members, I'm sorry.
He's gonna vote against it anyway.
Well, it's not our place, if a board member is asked to step down, we can't force
A board
Mr.
member to
Angita
step
off
down.
the board. It's within the good conscience of a member, and the keystone, the touchstone is always, can I vote on this fairly and objectively? As the chairman said, all the board members, every board I work for, the board members try to get out and see the site, whether they
No
walk in
question
it.
about it. No question
These
about it.
members have walked into projects, out of projects, they form their own opinions, but they have to bring it back to the board and put it on the record to make a decision. Gina, let me ask you this, if Mr. Angita steps down, the 6 remaining board members, are they all qualified to vote?
In reality, we're not going to take an appeal if this is denied. I would never ask my client to take an appeal. So I have no problem, let's just vote. I'm not going to ask him to recuse
Well,
himself.
I'm not.
Okay, so you're
No,
not
I'm not going to ask
asking
him to
him to
recuse himself.
rescinded your request.
I've rescinded my request.
All right,
only because
officially.
Yes.
All right,
He's
Okay, so
probably
can we
gonna
have a
vote against
vote?
it,
I have a motion to deny. Do I get a second? I don't want to be here all night.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Soriano. Clerk, call the roll.
Andita.
Yes is to deny.
Yes, it's a deny. Andita.
Yes.
Giordano.
Yes.
Mafucci.
Yes.
Catalino.
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Bennett.
I didn't get to say anything.
Well, I asked if anybody wanted to say anything.
I really didn't get it. Can I just make a comment?
Yes,
a
of
statement,
course.
or, because what I was gonna say is, if it was denied, are there other options that we could give this gentleman, like creating some storage units there that he could rent
Well,
out? Like, if a person is in an apartment, sometimes they have a little storage
Ask
box that
Ms.
you can-
Mr.
well,
Banda
I'm just
because
gonna-
he's the zoning officer.
And that's why I'm just giving options. Or like, could you have a weight room? You know, some of the newer luxury apartments are creating these weight rooms, and then you maybe charge a little extra fee to use the weight room. I mean, I'm just, with a little
Laundry,
reason,
yes.
saying, if it gets denied, are there other options for him that this is the 3rd or 4th time we've all sat here. So I'd like to present something as an, and maybe you
Mr.
can
Banda,
answer.
do you have an answer for
Something
that?
that doesn't need a new tenant, something that
I
doesn't
know it's
increase the
considered
parking.
commercial.
Well, it's an accessory use of the apartment unit, so it would be kind of almost like an amenity space. So it's not like it's something that we'd be against, as long as he's not leasing it out to people outside of the
Would
building.
it be required to come back before the board, yes or no?
I mean, you need commercial space. If they wanted to do a workout area, laundry facility,
Laundry facilities
Storage,
commercial.
you know,
storage.
when you're in
I
an
don't think there's
apartment,
anything, if
then
it's
you
storage for the tenants, no, I don't think they would have to come back. I just-
So it
All
could
right.
be approved to look
How big
like
is the
the
space?
rendering as opposed to the way it looks now.
It just cannot be rented as a commercial, I mean, it was residential,
Technically,
correct?
there's kitchens in it that shouldn't be there, so.
Okay, all right.
We're just trying to give you some.
Look,
Yeah.
again, we're not gonna take an appeal. You know, we've talked about doing something with that other than, because we knew we weren't gonna win, so,
Okay,
but there are other things that can be done.
think about other things, so
I mean,
the
there are
building can
commercial
get
uses
improved.
They can provide storage.
Could go down there that I think would create more traffic and parking issues, but hey, we can do it.
Okay, now, how are you voting, Ms.
We have
Bennett?
4 yes.
You're voting yes to deny. And I'm voting yes to deny. So it was denied 7 to nothing.
Well,
6.
finish.
6, no, he voted,
No, he voted, they all voted.
7.
7 to nothing.
Okay. And again, I want to thank you.
You're welcome.
You did a good job. You really did. You gave me a fair hearing.
Thank you. And this is one of the longest hearings I ever took.
All right.
Almost a year old.
Break time.
It's like going through a whirlwind. I don't even know.
5 minutes break.
Is there a little break?
Okay, we can have, what time is it right now?
It's 5 to 7, 5-minute break.
All right, 5-minute break, no problem.
I was gonna say
We're
you're in a whirl,
we're
right?
adjourned,
Yeah.
recess for
What happens
5
when
minutes.
you're reading it?
Next case on the agenda is ZB 2024-02, S&A Holdings LLC, 152 Mill Street, Block 7402, Lot 37. The applicant is seeking to add on to the existing structure and create a 3-family dwelling with a 1-bedroom apartment and 2 2-bedroom apartments. Yes.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Gary Bennett, B-E-N-N-E-T-T, from the firm of Cook, Bennett, Walno, and Kearney, New Jersey.
Mr. Bennett, just for the record, you're
Yes.
not in any way related to our board member?
I am not.
Okay. Thank you.
I have that in Harrison. There's a councilman in Harrison, Larry Bennett, and I have to always make sure that no one feels, and I see this one that has a similar name. I represent S&A Holdings, who are the owners of 152 Mill Street. Board's been by the property, familiar with the property, I'm sure. What we have is a dilapidated home that has been foreclosed upon and is in very substantial disrepair. The property sits in a somewhat unique location based upon the fact that it sits across from the park where there's a substantial amount of on-street parking. However, this property, unlike many of the ones in the neighborhood, has off-street parking. In addition, this building is 3 stories high and currently as a 1-family dwelling contains 5 bedrooms. The applicant's proposal is exactly the same, 5 bedrooms consisting of 3 separate apartments, of a 1-bedroom apartment and 2 2-bedroom apartments. So we come before you with the request for a use variance and several C variances. And those variances, as you'll note from the review letters you've seen and also from the comments in your own experience, that at least 4 of those are pre-existing conditions that there's no way to change. There are several reasons why we believe that this fits into this neighborhood scheme. There are other multiple family dwellings, including 3-family dwellings. Immediately adjacent to the property is a 6-family, and next to that is an 8-family. That is right next to it. So as a 1-family home, it sits next to 2 very larger multi-family dwellings. This property doesn't need to be expanded from a side-to-side basis. We are asking for what the applicant considers to be a modest addition to the rear to modify the building. That's about 8 feet 11 inches by the width of the building. I presented to you and filed with you plans drawn by Crear Creative Architecture. They're signed and sealed by George Fernandez. Mr. Fernandez is here. He's the one who's put up on the screens for you the plans that he's going to testify to and walk you through. In addition, I have William Stimmel. Mr. Stimmel is a professional engineer as well as a licensed professional planner. He's here to provide planning testimony with regard not only to the application and the viability of it, but also to satisfy the positive and negative criteria, hopefully by providing you some testimony that you will agree supports this application. Although the jump from a 1 to a 3 appears to be large, that's why I pointed out to you that there's no increase in the number of bedrooms. There is off-street parking, much different than most of those properties along that area. And we believe that this will do a couple of things. One, it'll beautify the area, much better aesthetically, completely renovate the front of the property so that the visual that's there with an older home will be completely completely renovated inside and outside. And what you do is you upgrade it not only from a perspective of tax rateable, but also more importantly, from a neighborhood perspective, because we believe that that will enhance rather than in any way be a detriment to the neighboring properties. With those opening remarks, Mr. Chairman, I'd like Mr. Fernandez to be sworn in.
Yes.
Thank you.
Before that,
Yes.
I would like our experts sworn in. Now, the reason they weren't sworn in for the previous application is because they had already been sworn in over all the months that we heard that.
It sounded
So
like
I
it
want
went
my
along,
two
gentlemen.
experts sworn in.
If I could ask Tom Harris,
And Mr. Banda to put their hands up with regard to this application. Do you swear that your comments and testimony shall be the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, you may proceed.
Thank you. George?
Raise your right hand, please. With regard to this application, do you swear the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth?
I do.
Could you state your name and spell your last name for the record, please?
Jorge Fernandez, Fernandez.
Thank you. Why don't you walk us through
Sure,
this?
absolutely.
Where does he live, sir?
Your address?
My business address, 75 Parker Street, North New Jersey.
Okay, where do you live?
I live in 428 7th Street, Harrison, New Jersey.
Perfect, thank you.
Mr. Fernandez, you're a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey, is
I
that
am.
correct? And is your license in good standing?
Yes.
And you've been qualified as an expert in the area of architecture and testified before zoning boards and planning boards throughout the state of New Jersey?
I have.
And in fact, you've testified before this board here
Yes, I have.
on a prior occasion, and you were qualified in that capacity.
Well, we'll okay him as an expert.
Thank you,
As long
Mr.
as his
Chairman.
license is still current.
Thank you. George, you were retained, were you not, by SROA Holdings, specifically Mr. Paul Silva, who sits behind me, to analyze the property at 152 Mill Street with regard to renovations to it and potential appropriate use for it?
Yes.
And when you did that, as you walked through the plan and spoke with Mr. Silva, you drafted a variety of different drawings that ultimately led to the plans that you provided me and I submitted to this board, correct?
Yes, correct.
And those plans are the ones that the board has before?
Yes.
And there's been no alteration to those plans?
No.
And you're going to testify utilizing the overhead screens and television. As you do, I would only ask, yes, Mr. Chairman?
You said something that threw me off.
What's that?
You said there's been no alteration
To the plan?
to the plans, not to the building.
No, to the plan. No, there hasn't been any to the building either, but there hasn't been any to the plans. I always like to make that distinction, Mr. Chairman, because occasionally, once something is submitted, an architect may make a minor change to it or do something. So if there's any area of the plan that's colorized when it comes up on the screen, and it may not be colorized to what was split, just differentiate that. And I would respectfully request that when you refer to it, if you refer to the number in the lower part of your page and identify your drawings by the date of them so that we know that we're dealing with the same. Okay? Thank you. Why don't you take a moment now, bring the screen up and walk the board through the home and what is proposed by way of modification.
Mr. Fernandez, if there's anything that this board does not have, if you haven't submitted it yet, we need to mark it. If you're telling us that we have it, then we don't need to mark it. Sure. I see some things in color here.
Yes, yeah, the larger prints were not printed in color.
Well, then let's mark A1 as, A1 could be a site plan, colorized site plan, or architectural plans.
I think the only page that has color on is the first one.
It's the first one, yeah, it's the T1 page.
So I would suggest that we mark P1 as
T1. Thank you.
as applicant's exhibit 1,
Yes.
independently of the, right.
So we have here a T1 page dated 10/24/2023 and revised 1/29/2024. I believe that was submitted to the board.
Yes.
That's the site information and the zoning chart that we have provided. And also it has a photo of the existing structure that exists today.
And that's the white structure that's in the middle
That
of
is
the
the
picture.
white structure in the middle of the picture, with the driveway on the right-hand side.
And that's currently the way it looks?
That's currently the way it looks.
Tree is apparently no longer there.
The tree's no longer there?
That's what we understand. Yeah. Town took it down.
So,
Mrs. Fernandez, is this a county road?
No, Mill Street, I don't believe is county.
It's half of the street belongs to Newark and the other half belongs to Belleville.
No.
The part
Newark
belongs
is
to
the other side of the river. That I can tell you. It's all Belleville, both sides.
That part belongs to Belleville Township, right?
Yes.
All right.
That I can tell you for sure.
Can we just get right into it, or what?
Well, I'd like him just to kind of walk the board through the plans themselves, and then any board members that have questions.
To straighten that out, across the street is the county Bridgeport Park, it's part of Bridgeport Park. But the town's borderline is Mill Street, not Mill Street, but the river. The river is at the border.
Okay, all right.
The next page is the S1, dated 10/24/23, and revised 1/29/2024. This has the existing site plan and the proposed site plan. So to the left, we have the existing site plan that shows the 2.5-story frame dwelling. It is roughly 700 square feet. And it has a driveway on the right-hand side. The driveway starts at 9.12 feet and it ends up at 7.14 feet. And we have a rear yard behind the property. The stairs, entry stairs, and stoop are to the left of the property, and there's a grass patch in between the driveway and the entrance.
And other than the landscaping, a little heavier, that grass patch in the front of the building will not change. It won't be extended any further toward the street, is that correct?
That is correct.
It will remain flush. And nothing to the right or left will be expanded.
Correct. Right now, I believe it's 12, it's a regular 12.9 feet on the left-hand side, 12.58 feet on the right-hand side. That will roughly stay the front setback that we're proposing.
If it's easier, Commissioner, you're more than welcome to ask a question.
Mr. Fernandez, currently, how many bedrooms do we have in this?
There are 5 bedrooms.
Is 5 bedroom in the proposed bedroom count?
5.
5 bedrooms? Just give us the number of bedrooms and give us the logistics of it, like, is the unit longer than 2 bedrooms? Is it
Sure.
3, like, what is it?
I can show you on the architectural page. So this is page A1, dated 10/24/2023.
Do you have an architectural page of what it looks like now?
No, I don't have a layout of the existing.
Okay.
I can provide testimony from the owner, Mr. Chairman, if you'd like.
So
Go ahead.
we have an existing basement that we're going to leave as mechanical spaces only. It's not going to have any bathrooms, not going to be finished. The first floor, we're going to have a 1-bedroom. We have the kitchen, dining, and living. Then the second floor, we have a 2-bedroom, and then the third floor apartment will also be a 2-bedroom.
And those second and third floors kind of mirror each other in design?
Yes. We're trying to comply, trying to have laundry in each apartment, 2 bathrooms in each apartment, because 1 bedroom will have a private bathroom as a master suite, and then there'll be another bathroom for the use of the rest of the apartment.
Are you allowed to talk on the whole sewage and stuff like that, or is that somebody else?
I can speak to it, yes.
All right, so is there an area of concern when it comes to that little, that, I don't know what you call it, that body of water that's there, right there in front of that area right there? Is that an area of concern to this project? And if so, are you guys taking measures to remedy that?
It's not an area of concern because it's, this project is, the first living level is 3 feet above grade. So I wouldn't be concerned about if there were ever a flood, even though that creek is pretty low, even to the street level at this part of the town.
To straighten that out, can I ask you, what, Mr. Bander, is
Yes.
that a flood zone there?
Oh, I have to check.
Or you don't?
I thought you floods.
We check FEMA.
It does flood if there's a storm. I've been in waist-deep water.
Yeah, like Sandy, I remember during Sandy, I think that was an area of concern, right? If I'm not mistaken, I remember taking a little walk down that way. So do we know, Mr. Counselor, if this is a
I
flood
don't
area?
know off the top of my head whether it's in a flood zone. I don't believe that it is. And now that, again, there's a differentiation obviously between FEMA designated flood zones and areas that might flood
Mr.
during
Harris, would you know as
sandy.
the town engineer?
I don't, let's have the map in front of us.
Yeah.
FEMA.org, and just run the address real quick. That's possible. Well, that's FEMA.org. Yeah, it's check real quick. Yeah. Right, and the other thing that is, well, I drove 3 times during 3 different times during this property, and I have to say as a positive note, as a relief to me, that all 3 times that I went at night, late at night, I went during the afternoon, I went in the morning, because I live maybe like 5 minutes from there on New Street, and I frequent that area, walk back and forth on my morning walk sometimes. And I noticed that there was an abundance of parking across the street. So that's something to me that I was like, but I know also from reading the documents that they were provided to us that it doesn't meet the parking, right? Is that correct?
That's correct. We do have a parking deficiency, but as I indicated, we have parking, which is a positive.
Well, yeah.
There's not a lot of, in that area that do have the parking.
Well, yeah, I mean, the area across the street from that property, I mean, there's an abundance of parking. So that's something that I was positive to see out there. Okay, I acknowledge this. This is something where I see this parking is not going to become an issue.
I would agree with you. I visited the site myself. It was a large amount of parking compared to other areas of town.
Now, the parking would take up the whole backyard, am I correct?
Yes.
According to your plans?
Predominantly, yes.
So there would be no backyard, it would all be just parking? Okay.
And that's what it basically is now. It's been used for parking. I mean, again, wherever there's parking, anybody that can avail themselves to it usually does, especially in an apartment or housing living.
My only area of concern was the body of water, but since the architect, I think, satisfied my questions on that, although as a personal witness to Sandy and seeing what Sandy did, the superstorm, that area was an issue of concern, but like I said, I haven't seen any flooding since that time.
I would think the only way to ever address that, Commissioner, would be if you were going to demolish the house, you may want to raise it up, not because it's in a flood zone, because perhaps in those unique storms, you may have some water issues, as I'm sure people across the town did, and every surrounding town. But again, I don't believe it's in a flood zone, but it's probably an area, if we get one of those sandy storms, I think it's probably going to be one of those areas that they're going to make sure they get things up off the floor.
Absolutely. Mr. Fernandez, can you speak to us a little bit about the facade of the building?
Yes.
And does it conform with the Belleville streetscapes?
My A2 that was also submitted on 10/24/23 shows the proposed elevation, facade. I looked at the regulations for Belleville for the beach zone, and I believe they mentioned 65% glazing. They mentioned 9-foot ceiling heights for residential. In terms of the ceiling height for the residential, we are showing 8 feet. As the existing ceiling height of the building was also 8 feet. We could increase it to 9 feet on every floor, and we would still be below the 40-foot height requirement. That's a possibility. The glazing requirement, 65% on this elevation, I believe would hinder the design because of aesthetics. It would look like, it wouldn't look like any of the homes in the neighborhood. And also, for privacy reasons, you would essentially have a wall of glass. So, yeah, we can't comply with that 65% requirement. But we tried to use a colonial design, the vinyl siding and masonry. We tried to bring the masonry up to the first floor level. That'll be made brick masonry. We'll have it painted white. And then we'll have the asphalt shingle roof above that, and then we'll have vertical board and batten siding, white as well, on the second and third floors. I believe it will fit in nicely in this neighborhood. I mean, it's kind of a mix. There's some newer construction. I believe there's some multifamilies to the right that are all being brick masonry. The homes to the left were on the siding and stucco. So I think it'll conform with the neighborhood.
A substantial increase in the appearance of, and improvement to the appearance of what's existing.
Yes.
Do you feel that this project is going to create any issues with traffic?
Wouldn't anticipate it. Again, we're not increasing the bedroom count. You've got 3 levels, and the bedroom count that's there could accommodate in the existing home an extremely large family. And as the chairman pointed out before, it's not uncommon for people to have 2 cars. But when you get 1-bedroom apartments and you're in an area where you have the ability to access mass transportation, those type of apartments, the 1 and 2 bedrooms, become attractive versus a 5-bedroom home that might be occupied by a very large family.
If approved tonight, do you think that this project would be an issue with traffic during construction phase?
No.
Would your client be object to Belleville police being present on heavy traffic days?
If there's any issue with regard to it, we would coordinate with the police department if they believe that it was necessary to have police presence at the site. But bear in mind that the only addition to this building is the rear of the building, so we don't think it will impact with the street, with traffic, with pedestrian traffic or anything else, because it would just be behind. And when we come to the front facade, when they're putting the front facade off, there's over a 12-foot front yard, so you wouldn't be out into the sidewalk or the street putting up the siding on that. It could be done from the property itself.
Couple. You mentioned what the front facade would look like. What about the sides of the roof?
Yes, the sides, as shown here, are vinyl siding, and we have double hung windows in the rear, where we have bedrooms, and on the side into the living space, and also the kitchens would have some windows.
And the comment the attorney just made, you're not adding to the height of the building?
We're adding, essentially the existing home that's there is a 2.5-story building, and we're making it a full 3 stories.
Yeah, no, I didn't indicate that they weren't adding to the height. I just said they were doing construction behind the building, so it wouldn't, I said in order to go up the front of the building, when they put the siding on, they could do it from the property. They wouldn't need to go out into the public right away.
Also, there are no rear exits, correct?
Exits? No. This building has one central staircase that connects the whole 3 apartments, and it'll be protected by a sprinkler system. And that's a requirement of New Jersey International Building Code, and we have to comply with that.
Just while you're touching on that, Mr. Fernandez, the fact that it would become a 3-family does require the sprinkler system to be put in.
It does.
Given the proximity of the houses in this neighborhood, would you consider that to be a fairly substantial upgrade by way of fire safety?
Yes. Not only are we doing the fire sprinkler system, we would have to do fire-rated walls on the lateral sidewalks.
So again, in God forbid, the unfortunate situation of either this dwelling catching on fire or in the alternative, one of the adjacent ones, this property would have the fire-rated sheetrock plus a sprinkler system that would activate.
That is correct.
Before, did you say it was going to be vinyl sided?
The sides, yes, and rear.
Okay, so the sides,
Yeah, side of it.
the sides by the exposed buildings, that'll be vinyl sided.
The sides, yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, what kind of like soundproofing are you guys using between the apartments and stuff like that?
We can use the soundproofing insulation in between floors. And we can use an underlayment under the hardwood floors to keep, noise from transmitting.
Any other question? This is my last question, I promise.
As good as you like.
What's the closest multi-family property to this?
Immediately adjacent to it is a 6-family dwelling. Immediately adjacent to that is an 8-family dwelling. And the planner that we have will testify as to other three families and multifamilies in the neighborhood.
Okay, all right. What is to the left of the building?
I'll have to ask the, yes. I'm not sure whether it's a 1 or a 2, it's immediately adjacent. There's a mix of 1, 2, and 3s along that line, as well as the 6 and the 8 family. And then I think a 10-unit building.
Now, let me ask you a question based on Mr. Hurwitz's, I believe this is Mr. Hurwitz's report. Okay? So I want to make sure it's Hurwitz's report before I bring it up. Yes, it is Mr. Hurwitz's report. The second page that mentions variances. There's some that are pre-existing, okay? And some that are there. Now, I believe it requires 50 feet width, it's got 31 feet, that's current.
Yes.
And 5,000 square foot, there's 3,100 square foot. Front yard, 20 feet, only has 12 and a half, that's current. And the side yard, this is very interesting, side yard says it's less than 1 foot of side yard?
If you spin back, I think, to the site plan, you'll see that it pitches down on the left-hand side, very close to the adjacent property.
Okay.
But
So
it's
that's
got-
why.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask, well,
Sure, go
I'm
ahead.
asking him the question.
Okay.
Why you answer?
Some of the information is,
Now, lot coverage, it says 60% required and 95% proposed. It also says, on the bottom line, open space, 20% required and only 5% proposed. Now, isn't it true that currently you do meet those requirements with the current building? And what changes everything is putting the parking in the back? Currently, there is no parking in the back. Isn't that accurate?
Currently, there's a gravel driveway on the side of the building.
Yes.
And I believe people do park in the back. I don't think it's an actual
It's not paved or anything.
paved parking.
Yeah, so there is open space of at least 20%. And the lot coverage, the reason it's going from, 60% is required, 95 proposed. I think it's going up to 95 because of the parking in the back.
Mr. Chairman, I think the intent is to try and provide off-street parking wherever we can, but George, perhaps if you could just give the chairman and the board some explanation with regard to the material that was going to be used for the parking area and the efforts that were taken to ensure that it was as environmentally safe as possible and as pervious as possible.
Yes, we've used this in other municipalities. It's a paver that is partially permeable, that allows grass to grow through it, so that the rainwater can go through, and also people could use it as a backyard hardscape, as opposed to just having an asphalt parking area. It's a little bit more appealing to look at. That's why because we figured we had to have the parking, might as well give somebody a pavement that gives them the option of having both.
More expensive way to do it than putting down asphalt, correct?
Mr. Chairman, if I just make a statement?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so he's putting those pervious pavers, and he's also putting in some, like a seepage pit in the back also, but I think one of my comments is that parking in the back is very tight, very, very tight. Normally, with perpendicular parking, you have a 24-foot aisle, there's a 12-foot aisle there.
Also, in the back of the building, it goes down to 7.1 feet wide. Do you actually think a car can get through that like that?
Yes.
Yes, the car could get through 7 point.
It's tight.
What is it,
7.14.
It's tough.
Mr. Hurwitz is...
I think it's going to be tight.
Very tight.
You've got to be very, very compact cars.
That it doesn't hit the house. That it doesn't hit the house.
Well, yeah, there should be something there to protect the house.
What's a normal width? Let's say a parking space width.
It's 9 feet.
9 by 19.
Huh?
Our ordinance is 9 by 19.
So this is really virtually 2 feet short just to get through. Okay.
But the parking space wouldn't be the same as a driveway width. You permit an 8-foot driveway on new construction? Would you?
That's
12
like,
feet.
yes.
No, I'm not talking about the curb cut, I'm talking about if the driveway itself.
Well, average cars are 6.5 feet wide,
I would probably agree with that.
somewhere around there.
So an average car is 6.5 feet wide, right? Which would be 6 feet, 6 inches, correct?
Correct.
And you're talking about having 3 inches on each side and 7.
There's no doubt.
That's a very tight move there, 3 inches on each side of the house, of the car. If you don't have your mirrors turned, you might have a problem.
So can I just say something?
Go
What's
ahead.
code? What's code though?
That depends upon.
And I have to ask Mr. Bueller,
On the
Driveway.
What is code exactly
12.
for the width of a driveway?
Jeez, you can't get it right.
What did we start off
You
at?
can't get it right.
Bandit. What is it, Bandit?
Bandit.
Bandit. So what would be the code for
We're at 10 to 12.
10 to 12? Oh, so we're off by 3 feet altogether, at least.
Right? No parking stands.
Huh? I know.
Is
Just
section,
should have come in.
Can I ask another question? Let's ask a question on the plans. I like the plans. They're really nice. But I have a question. The first floor plan compared to the second and third floor plan is virtually identical, except on the first floor, you have a dining room where there's bedrooms upstairs.
Yes.
Yes,
So, but on the other floor, you have the dining rooms in the front,
yes.
next to the living room. So why would the first floor have such a big dining room in the back, and the front would just be a giant living room where both other floors is a living room, dining room, one right next to each other?
We wanted to keep with the 5 bedrooms.
You sure you don't want to make it 6?
Just keep it the same as it is. 5.
Can also be an issue of like architectural door placement. Like when you
I'm
go up
sorry,
the stairs. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was addressing Mr. Fernandez. Is it an issue because of door placement of the upper levels?
No, it isn't.
Oh, yeah, so we're good. I mean, I personally feel like the room placement is fine, the dining room is fine. And I also personally don't feel like the driveway is an issue at all.
Well,
Considering what's there now, you guys are building something that's gonna add a lure and rapport to that particular neighborhood.
Let me comment once more if I could on the driveway, because I just asked the architect, and I know I've spoken to my client. If you notice, the beginning of the driveway is much wider. It pitches down only at that one location. There's the possibility, and I've spoken to the architect, that architecturally and structurally, that could be moved in to open that up by another, how far, approximately?
I would
Without
say
completely
we
redoing
should
that
be
side.
able to keep it at 8.29 feet, which is the, before this little turn over here.
So that, I mean, again, my client is intending to invest a substantial amount of money in renovating this property. So if part of the concern is that pinch down point at the back of the driveway, as part of the construction, they can open that up to 8 feet, which is more than enough to take a car through, and you start off with a driveway that's over 9 feet at the beginning. So again, I just point out that this is unique property to the extent that it does have the capability of providing off-street parking.
Okay. Any other questions by members of the board? Yes, Mr. Mafucci.
Real quick, how would you get that wider from the 7?
No, don't ask him.
You'd have
Ask
to-
him, he's the architect.
I asked the question.
No, I'm gonna ask the attorney. The attorney's not the expert witness.
I mean, would you knock the corner of the building?
Yes, that's what would have to happen. We're doing an addition there anyway, so we would just extend the foundation, the extra 6 or 7 feet that we would need to make that square.
Any other questions by members of the board?
I have a question. Does your client intend on living on this property?
No,
No, so this is an investment property?
no, this is, it would be a rental property, an investment property.
All right.
Any Any other questions by members of the board?
No.
Left? No? Any questions by members of the public? Yeah, I'll call you first, he got his chance to ask.
What's the height of the basement? In the
Gary,
original
get-
building?
Gary.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, speak, slow down and speak a little bit louder, so we can, okay.
Yeah. We yelled here, no quiet stuff, yell.
What is the height of the existing building, the basement?
The basement,
Ceiling height?
I believe it has 7 feet, see clear to the joist.
With the extension that you have on, is there gonna be a basement?
No.
There too?
No, we're not gonna extend the basement.
You're not gonna extend the basement. Okay, and then between the house and the corner building, you say you have a 9-foot driveway,
Yes,
right? Is any of that driveway belong to the two-story brick building next door?
no, it's all within our property line.
So that,
It's within our property line, within our property.
you got 9 feet of your
Yeah.
property line.
The current building, is the current building the length of the existing basement? Is it based on the
Yes.
basement's foundation?
Yes.
So you're looking to extend the building backwards, how many feet?
Essentially 8 feet,
8 feet, okay.
so we're not gonna extend the basement will stay.
The basement will stay, but you're looking to extend the back 8 feet.
8 feet, 11 inches.
Yes.
8 feet, 11 inches.
I didn't want to answer. I don't want to
Yeah,
yell at you, but that's 8 feet, 11 inches.
Okay. All right. Any other questions by Mr. Shelton? Come on up. Come on down.
Good evening, board members. Michael Sheldon, 47 Floyd Street. A lot of my questions are going to be continuation of questions already asked by board members. Firstly, this project is in the RC zone,
Yes.
and as the chairman acknowledged, in the RC zone, 3-family require a minimum square lot of 5,000 square feet.
7,500.
It's 7,500. 7,500.
It's triplex, so you
Okay,
got 10 outside.
7,500.
Wait a minute, why on Heritz's report it says 5,000?
That's the minimum because of 2 families, 5,000, 3 families, 7,500.
Oh, okay. So it's even more.
Right. I'm glad Mr. Bender brought that up because I was confused about that. I was
So it's more than double.
Right, right. It's actually 7,500 square feet, not 5,000. And the applicant's property is only a little over 3,000
3,100,
square feet.
3,100, I'm sorry.
Testimony has already been given that the current building is a one-family, very modest one-family home with 5 bedrooms. I think the chairman asked earlier if there were any plans of the existing structure. It's very unusual for one of Belleville's older one-family homes
I
to
didn't
have 5 bedrooms.
Oh, yes.
5 bedrooms,
agree with
mostly
that.
it's 3, mostly 3 bedrooms. And just for the record, when I was about this tall, back in the 1960s.
Now you're giving testimony,
All right,
you can't
all right,
talk about
I'll
when you
save
were a
that
little
later.
kid, no?
I'll save that till later, I'll save that till later.
Okay, save it for
All
later.
right, I just wanted to, at some point this evening, that I actually lived at 154.
That's
Mill
okay, no
Street
testimony
a long
right
time ago, testimony. So I think it would be helpful to see the existing plans. How are 5 bedrooms contained in such a relatively small one-family home?
That's a good issue.
Right? The constriction, I'm glad many of you focused upon that. I also noticed that at its narrowest point, it's only a little over 7 feet. Now, there's been some recent testimony that they could open that constriction.
A little over
by-
8 feet.
But it would seem to me, if you look, as I study that, to remove that constriction where it kind of angles off, there's a staircase in the back. It looks to, in my eyes, that making any changes to that portion of the building in that back right corner would necessitate pretty much significant reconstruction of the existing building. You're going to be taking out that entire corner in order to open up the driveway at least a foot or so.
All I'm going by is what the architect.
Right, I know, but I mean, the concern there is that now instead of just simply adding a little bit to the back of the building, it would appear that in order to resolve this very serious parking or driveway construction, you're now talking about a major construction project. That you're gonna have to dismantle the back right corner of the building, which means having to put up all the temporary framing to support it as you're removing an existing structural wall.
It's not built yet, that back corner.
All right, so this is no longer a simple, let's add a little, this that becomes
I
a
understand, we just need
serious.
questions of the witness.
Yes.
Can we get some questions of the witness?
Well, as the chairman said earlier, I think we behoove everyone to have a plan to see the plans of the existing building, how possibly because they're trying to make this appear as though it's a one-for-one. There's 5 bedrooms currently exist, and they're going to have 5 bedrooms. 5 bedrooms, if I understand the parking requirements, you need 5 on-site, or 5 parking spots in the yard, and that current driveway, at best, is going to support 2. That's why they need, I assume, the backyard.
Well,
For parking.
well, you're not asking him questions. Worry about this later, please.
All right,
I want to get to the next witness.
All right, well, I'll bring it up during
Bring it up later.
testimony, but
Bring it up.
I just wanted to reiterate what some of the board members
See,
already
you're
asked.
telling us stuff, you're not asking him questions.
All right,
You're
well-
not asking questions of the witness.
All right, well,
And that's all you're allowed to do right
all
now.
right, well, if you could possibly provide the board members, as the chairman asked, with a plan, the construction, the plans of the current building, I think it would be in everyone's best interest to see
Can I
that.
go to the next witness?
Okay, all right, I'll talk to you later.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Next witness, please.
Thank you, Mr. Fernandez. Bill?
Any wine?
Got nothing tonight.
You can raise your right hand, please. With regard to this application, you swear the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth.
I do?
State your name, spell your last name, please.
Sure. William Stimmel, Stimmel. My professional address is P.O. Box 280, Rutherford, New Jersey.
You're the owner?
Yes,
No? Good. Where do you live?
Rutherford.
Where in Rutherford?
Wood Street?
You have a number? Give me a complete address. I don't want to know about post office boxes. I want to know where you live.
You've accepted it the last 20 times I've been here.
Yeah,
about
he's
145
He's not
times.
the owner. I like to know where people live.
Mr. Silly, you're a land use planner, you've testified before this board. Your license is still current, in fact?
Wait, he's a planner? I thought he was the owner.
No,
Where's the owner?
he's coming.
I thought you meant the owner of the business.
Oh, that's
No,
what
I meant the owner of the building.
No, I am not the owner of the building. You want the owner?
No.
What are you going to wear? All right, Mr. Stimmel, you're a
I
planner.
understand what he's talking about.
Your licenses are still in effect. Thanks, sir.
I'm a licensed planner. My license is current. I actually just renewed it.
Okay.
He's qualified. Yes, yeah, oh, definitely. Yes.
Okay.
I have no problem with it.
So you're accepting as an expert here?
Yes, but I thought he was the owner. That's why I asked
Okay.
those questions. Yeah.
Mr. Stimmel, you also were retained by the owner of this property to analyze the property, analyze the neighborhood, draw an opinion with regard to the planning aspect of this, and look at the neighborhood with regard to whether or not the proposed modification of this building would in any way impact the neighborhood scheme or in any way negatively impact the neighborhood.
Yes, I was.
And as a result of that, you have some findings, you inspected the property yourself, walked the neighborhood. Please provide the board, if you would, the benefit of the information you were able to glean.
Sure. Normally I start off by talking about the existing and proposed conditions. We've been rolling along pretty quickly tonight. I'm not going to go through that again unless the board needs a refresher. So I'll start off by talking about the zoning. Subject property is located fully within the RC zone, townhouse residential, as are the lots along the westbound side of Mill Street or the northern side of Mill Street. Lots on the eastbound side of Mill Street to the south are in the OSPB zone, which is open space public. As someone had mentioned before, the municipal boundary between Belleville and Newark is in the river. It's not Mill Street, it's in the river. So both sides of Mill Street are in Belleville. The RC zone, according to the Belleville ordinance, allows the following permitted uses per ordinance section 23-7.6A. Single-family dwellings, 1 per lot, 2-family dwellings, 1 per lot, duplex, triplex, age-restricted housing, assisted living, nursing homes, schools, adult daycare and daycare for children, indoor and outdoor recreation, and houses of worship. So the proposed three-family dwelling is not a permitted use in the zone. However, the zone does allow for three families in a triplex development, which for the board members that are not familiar with it would be basically three townhouse units side by side. The D variance, the D1 variance that's required for this application for the use
To
which is...
intersect, the three townhouses,
Yes.
that would have to be a lot that's 7,500 feet?
Correct.
Right, correct, thank you.
The D variance for the application is the D1 use variance for use which is not permitted in the zone. The applicant has to show that the positive and negative criteria have been satisfied. The positive criteria being that the project advances the purposes of zoning. I found three purposes of zoning which are advanced by this project. The first and the most commonly cited in these types of applications is purpose A, to encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use or development of all lands in the state in a manner which will promote the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. So obviously you have the construction of two new housing units at this location, the rehabilitation of a dilapidated structure, promotion of the goals of the 2019 master plan re-exam, and the state development and redevelopment plan. The second is purpose I, which is to promote a desirable visual environment through creative development techniques and good civic design and arrangement. So in addition to rehabilitating the site, the applicant's architect talked about how the proposed building will fit in with the character of the neighborhood, talked about the aesthetic standards and the updated Belleville zoning ordinance, the elements that are applied in this case, and the elements that are more geared towards the types of mixed-use developments you've been getting along Washington Avenue. I think what's clear, although we may have differences in terms of aesthetic standards, is that what's proposed is a clear upgrade over what's existing on the subject property at this point. The second part of that is that the aesthetic improvements are not just slapping a coat of paint on something, as they say. So you've got the fact that the site is going to have parking for the multifamily building, but that parking is going to be at the back of the property, screened from traffic on the sidewalk and on Mill Street. The third purpose of the municipal land use law, which is promoted by the application, is to promote the conservation of historic sites and districts, open space, energy resources, and natural resources in the state, and to prevent urban sprawl. And by promoting more intense development in an area which is fully developed, rather than expanding residential development into undeveloped areas of the state, we promote this purpose. The second part of the positive criteria relates to the site suitability. Why is this site particularly suited to the proposed development? You have the rehabilitation of the structure, which has been deteriorating for a period of time. The site is located in an area which provides access to goods and services along Washington Avenue. I had previously noted that three-family dwellings are permitted in the zone in the form of a triplex. So with that townhouse development, you're talking about much larger units on a larger piece of property, but so it's different from what we're proposing clearly, but it's at least in keeping with the nature of this proposed use. You've got the fact that you've got those multifamily dwellings along Mill Street. Those are primarily, I'm going to say, to the east of the property. Went out to the site to look at the surrounding development in the area. I think the chairman had mentioned that if you look at the property to the left, it's a one-family. Most of the properties going to the left are one family. There's a two-family, a three-family, and then a multifamily apartment about 8 or 10 lots down the street.
Do you know the width of those houses on the left? The width of the lots?
Yes. So we are lot 37. Not to be able to read this. We're lot 37. The next lot to the left of us is 25, then 62, 30, 35, 45, 38, 39, 38, 50.
Wait. Oh. You're at lot what?
We're lot number 37.
Okay. Lot 38, what is that?
That is 25 feet wide.
Okay. Lot 39.
62.
Lot
And
39
I'm
is
rounding off here.
That's 69.
Lot 39 is 62 feet wide.
62 feet.
Yes.
150 and counting down, you've got a 6-family, an 8-family, an 8-family, a 2, a 1, a 1, a 3, a 1, and a 12. So the multifamily, the more intense residential development is a more established pattern as you go to the east of the property. The negative criteria, the other side of the variance justification, the applicant has to make a demonstration that there will be no substantial detriment to the public good. One of the members had asked about traffic. You know, in wearing my engineering hat, I am also a traffic engineer. The volume of traffic generated by a residential apartment unit is typically anticipated to be lower than with a single-family house. You're looking at a fractional trip during each one of the peak hours, so something like 0.6 trips per unit would be appropriate for this type of development versus 1 trip per unit during the peak hour for a single family. So you would be slightly higher, but because of the small sample size, those numbers are well below the threshold of what you need to really have that average work out. So it would almost come down to the individual occupants of the units. But in any case, it would not make a substantial difference in terms of the traffic generated by the site. As far as the parking goes, the site does have a driveway off of Mill Street right now. There's 5 bedrooms according to the statement provided by the applicant. Because of the fact that it's more than 4 bedrooms, you would apply the standard of 0.75 spaces per unit, so the parking requirement for the existing building would be 3.75. I would say you could fit 2 cars in the driveway as it stands now. With the plan that's been submitted by our project architect, we're proposing, again, 3 units, 5 bedrooms, parking requirement of 5 parking spaces with 4 provided on the subject property. So right now, you're short by 1 3/4 spaces, whatever 3/4 of a parking space is. With the submitted plan, you're short by 1 parking space. So we do have that parking variance which we're requesting, but you could make the argument that we're reducing the extent of the variance. In terms of the purpose and the intent and purpose of the master plan and the zoning ordinance, the 2009 master plan states a need for a variety of housing types at a range of sale and rental levels so that all types of families and all income groups can be housed in Belleville. 29 re-examination recommends that the township encourage the rehabilitation of its existing housing stock, especially for low and moderate income households. Also in the 2019 re-exam, there was a further comment to rehabilitate existing housing stock. It goes on to talk about the age of housing in the township and recommends that the township ensure opportunities for rehabilitation and reconstruction of older housing at the municipal level to maintain an adequate housing supply within the township. And then finally, the enhanced quality of proof, because we're talking about a proposed use which is not listed among those permitted in the zone. We have to address the omission of the use from those that are permitted in the zone. So we talked before about the similarity to the triplex use, although the form of the use is substantially different. It talks about a bigger building on a bigger lot. The nature of the use is the same. You've got 3 families living in a structure on the same property. Talked about the master plan and re-exam goals briefly. I mentioned the state development and redevelopment plan. The site is located within the metropolitan planning area, which is intended to provide for much of the state's future growth and growth in compact forms. It talks about intensities which support transit development, encourage pedestrian traffic, and reduce dependencies on vehicles. We're also promoting transit-oriented development. There's 1 bus stop, 1 series of bus stops 0.2 miles from the site, and another series of bus stops 0.28 miles from the site. As far as C variances are concerned, the consideration of the C variances is subsumed in a consideration of the use on the property. So as much as it is not strictly appropriate to compare the requirements of the zone to the proposed use, because the use is not permitted in the zone, the opposite would also be true, but the board has to take a more broad approach to it. I'm going to review the C variances as noted in Mr. Harris's letter, although the chairman had pointed out that there is a different standard for triplex developments. Mr. Harris noted the minimum lot area where 5,000 square feet is required, 3,101 square feet is existing and proposed. Lot width, 50 feet is required, 31 feet is existing and proposed. The front yard setback, 20 feet is required, 12.58 feet is existing and proposed. The minimum side yard, 5 feet is required, 0.23 feet is existing and proposed, and
But
that's at the
I believe the testimony also was that for a three-family, it requires 7,500 square feet. Am I correct or not, Mr. Van?
Yes.
Not 5,000. I know it's on Heritage's report. But
Right.
technically, for a three-family, it's 7,500 square feet.
For a triplex, it's 7,500 square
Well,
feet.
three-family, that's three-family.
No, if we had a permitted use, we would be in front of the planning board.
Ah,
So the triplex, they consider the fact that the form of the units being so different makes it essentially a different use. So although the three-family is allowed in that context, it's different enough that because of what we're proposing, we're here in front of zoning.
so what's the most that can be proposed in this RC zone for a lot of this size?
Well, the zone allows single families, two families, duplexes, triplexes. The triplex is a 7,500 square foot lot. The duplex, you know what, I'm not gonna test my memory, I have the zoning table here.
Not a three-family, I mean, this is not a triplex, it's just a three-family.
It's a three-family.
Are we talking 5,000 square feet or 7,500 for a minimum lot?
There's no standard in this zone for a three-family.
Okay. So one for a two?
5.
5.
Correct.
And for a one?
5.
Huh?
5.
5 also?
That's the minimum lot size in the district, it's
Okay.
5,000, that's where Tom got his number.
And then for other permitted uses in the zone, it would be 10,000 square feet, and that's when you would potentially get into assisted living facilities, nursing homes, things like that, which are also residential to an extent.
And that's allowed in the zone?
That's allowed in the zone, yes. Continuing with the variances, the lot coverage, 60% is required, 95% is proposed, although based on the testimony provided by the architect, 40% of that total is the open cell pavers, the pavers that allow the grass to grow through. So that mitigates the impact of the coverage variance. Also mitigating that variance is the fact that the applicant is proposing to install a seepage pit at the rear of the property. There was a variance noted for building height where 3 stories is permitted, 3.5 stories is proposed. I think that comes up because of the fact that there's an attic level over the 3rd floor, but that attic is unfinished, so it doesn't count as a half story. So we believe the architect is correct, showing it as 3 stories on the plan. And same thing with the basement. The basement only is about 3 feet. It extends 3 feet above grade, so that would not count as a story either. The minimum open space, 20% is required, 5% is proposed. In terms of the impervious, again, the open cell pavers and the drainage improvements help with that. In terms of recreation for residents in the building, they're right across the street from the park, and the Branch Brook Park opens up 1,000 feet, 1,500 feet to the west, so the opportunity for recreation certainly is there. And then finally, the minimum parking requirement, which we've talked about, 5 parking spaces are required, 1 per bedroom in the RC zone. 4 are provided. There is the opportunity to provide additional parking across the street on the eastbound side of Mill Street. So those are the C variances associated with the application.
Let me ask you a question. You keep on mentioning about 3 stories. Is there attic bedrooms where the roof is up?
Now, there's not, the attic is not finished, it's just insulation.
All right, so now, where are all these bedrooms?
Oh, in the existing house?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, misunderstood. I haven't been inside the existing house.
You've never been in the existing house?
No, I've been to the property, haven't been in the house.
You just said the attic isn't finished.
On
On
the
the
proposed new
proposed.
house.
It's not proposed to be
Proposed new
finished.
renovation.
Why assume that the new one wasn't gonna be high like this? I'm going by the way, I'm looking at the picture. I see a first floor, a second floor, and then higher up where it comes to a point.
Right.
So I asked well, maybe I'll wait till the owner comes up then, because he don't know, he hasn't been
No.
there.
Haven't been, sorry for the misunderstanding.
He hasn't been in the house.
Bill, you mentioned under the general welfare subparagraphs, you had A and I talking about a third, what was the paragraph letter?
J? J.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Stover, let me just ask one question with regard to this triplex, which is permitted in the area. Call for a 7,500 square foot lot. Based on your inspection of the neighborhood and based upon the tax map that you referred to, are there any 7,500 foot lots in anywhere near this property, other than perhaps where the apartment buildings sit?
Now you're asking me to do math. The majority of the lots in the area couldn't accommodate it, just based on the fact that with that 7,500 feet, you're also required to have 75 foot of width. So they wouldn't meet the width requirement, certainly.
And there's quite a few lots within this neighborhood that are less than 50 feet, correct?
Correct.
And some of those house multifamily dwellings?
Yes, they do.
So again, they're pre-existing conditions in the neighborhood. Do you believe that adding a three-family home on this particular site is in any way going to create a negative impact based upon reproducing the number of rooms and the size of the construction, the fact that it's under the height?
The size of the building, the fact that it meets the height requirement, the fact that you've got the existing 5 bedrooms, the fact that you're providing, let's say, modestly sized apartments, I think it all goes to the fact that this site is not going to have a substantial negative impact on the surrounding area.
Thank you. No other questions, Mr. Chairman?
Any questions of the witness by members of the board?
Thank you, Bill.
Okay, any questions by the public of the witness? No. You have another witness?
I was going to bring up the owner for you, Mr. Chairman. You've been waiting for him. We're going to try and find out where those 5 bedrooms are.
Usually we get the owner first.
Why don't you step up?
You threw me off, because usually we get the owner first.
Thank you. Sir, if you could raise your right hand when you're ready. Thank you. With regard to this application, do you swear the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth?
So help me God.
Thank you. Could you state your name and spell your last name?
Paul Silva, S-I-L-V-A.
Yes, I am. It's Paul, right?
Yes, sir, P-A-U-L-O.
Thank you.
And your address?
I was raised in Harrison, but my current address is 47 South Willow Street, Montclair, New Jersey, 07042.
Mr. Silva, you're the principal and sole member of S&A Holdings LLC, correct?
Correct.
And you've constructed homes around the area, including in Belleville.
I have done renovations in Belleville, Kearney, Harrison, Glenbridge, Montgomery.
And substantially, you do renovation work to take older home stock and bring it up to a current level where it improves the appearance of it and makes it more habitable.
That is correct. We try to take what's existing, including the one we did here on Belleville Avenue, take what's existing, remodel within the existing footprint, so it stays and fits within the neighborhood and within what's existing.
Okay. You've heard the discussions back and forth about the fact that what's proposed are 2 two-bedroom apartments and 1 one-bedroom apartment for total bedroom count, which is the count that dictates the parking requirements. In the existing home, I've represented to the board, and the applicant's witnesses have indicated that they believe there was 5 bedrooms in the property.
So, it's 5 or 6, I'm not 100% sure, but...
Start from the first floor.
So on the ground floor, when you walk in, you have a living room, you have 1 or 2 rooms on the left, and you have a bathroom, and then you have a kitchen, then that was some sort of extension in the back.
So the kitchen's in the back of the building?
Of the ground floor, correct.
2 bedrooms?
So there's 2 rooms to the left, if I'm not mistaken, that could be bedrooms, because you have a living room to the right. Upstairs, you have 2 or 3 bedrooms, and then there's a 3rd floor that has another bedroom, 1 or 2 bedrooms on the 3rd floor. Not 100%.
1 for sure?
Well, definitely 1, possibly 2 on the 3rd level.
How long do you own this property?
About 5 months.
5 months. And let me ask you questions. How did you acquire the property?
It was for sale on the MLS, the realtor.
So this wasn't a tax sale?
No.
No.
Okay.
We got a CO, I got a CO and purchased it and everything, it was not a tax. We did not do the foreclosure, we don't do foreclosures.
You got a CO for this already?
I'm sorry?
You got a CO?
So we got a temporary CO because obviously the house is in need of repairs.
Right.
So we got a temporary CO, which means nobody can live in there until the property is renovated.
And it's not occupied at this point?
No.
Mr. Bandit, would you know how many bedrooms are in this place, or you don't know?
I'd have to look at what was presented on the CO. You could also go by the tax records, which aren't always
Yes.
legal law, but you'll see in the past what was there. I know our CCOs don't really count bedrooms, so they're not always clear either.
Okay. All right, go ahead, sir.
Any other specific questions? I wanted...
No, not by me, yes.
Okay.
Let's put that, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted him to testify, number one, he's the owner of the property, how long he's owned it, testify with regard to the question as to where the bedrooms were located and the existing conditions inside. Conditions inside. The house is...
The house, I mean, it's not livable. You can't even just give it a coat of paint and move it. It's just not. You know, the plumbing, the back part, there's a tarp covering the roof because of.
But you knew all this when you bought the property?
Oh, yes, yes. My intention when I bought it was to renovate the property.
What would you anticipate the cost of your renovation is going to be in this building? If the plan were approved?
The plan being approved, I'm going to be into it for close to $300,000, if not more. Which I would have to take a bank loan into.
And again, what you're willing to do is upgrade it. Obviously, you heard your architect indicate that it requires sprinklers, substantial expense. It requires fire-rated sheetrock of a different level, substantial. And obviously, you can put new bathrooms, new kitchens, new plumbing, new electric.
Central heat and air, everything.
So you wind up with central air, heat, and upgraded bathrooms, new kitchen,
Absolutely.
fire-rated sheetrock,
Absolutely.
and the exterior completely redone.
Yes.
The back done with the pavers that Mr. Fernandez is
I
describing.
would rather not have to put those because they're expensive, but
But it does serve to provide two
Absolutely.
things. One, a little bit more of a greenery in the rear yard despite the fact that it's used for parking. And secondly, some support for the drainage in the rear.
yeah, and to keep it level because people park on dirt now and then you get out in the mud and everything else. And at least having these pavers there, you're going to get out in the mud and snow and you're going to be able to walk into your home.
If any board members have questions for Mr. Silva?
Any questions by members of the board? Yes, Mr. Mafucci.
In the rear yard,
Yes, sir.
on the right side, there's a very large tree.
Okay.
A very large tree.
Okay.
Would your intention be to take it down?
If we can trim it and it does not affect the parking or does not have any adverse effect, I would love to be able to keep it. Unfortunately, I don't know the health of the tree, and I don't know how, if it will affect what we're proposing back there.
The trunk is fairly large.
If it's going to pose a danger to this home or to any of the neighboring homes, then the safest thing for everybody would be for us to take it down, or at least trim it. I would have to see what the health of the tree is. So I don't know.
Any other questions by members of the board? Any questions by members of the public of the witness? No questions. Any other witnesses?
Mr. Chairman, those were our three witnesses. I just would reserve the right, if I could, to have a brief summation at the conclusion of the hearing.
Yeah, you can.
At the conclusion of the hearing, I said.
Oh, okay. Does any member of the public wish to give testimony? Mr. Shelton.
Swear again?
Yeah, thank you, Mike. With regard to this application, do you swear the comments you're about to make shall be the truth?
I do.
And just for the record, state your name.
Michael Sheldon, still at 47 Floyd Street.
Thank you.
It's already been testified tonight that the applicant's lot is a little over 3,000 square feet, and the minimum required lot size is 5,000. So the applicant doesn't even come remotely close to satisfying the minimum required lot size. In regard to the parking situation, has already been testified, there is a constriction at the back of the building. The existing driveway narrows to just a little over 7 feet. In order to resolve that issue, the back of the building is going to have to be changed. This is no longer a simple addition. Now you're talking about major alterations to the existing building. I think it would be in everyone's interest for the zoning board to demand that the applicant submit a new set of plans showing exactly how the minimum driveway width is going to be achieved, what necessary changes are going to have to be made to the existing building. This is just no longer a simple add-on. As I was going to say earlier tonight, when I was just a little toddler, 2 or 3 years old, the first home that my parents bought in Belleville was next door to this project at 154 Mill Street. 154 Mill Street was then a one-family, and according to the records, still remains a one-family. So the house next door to this application is a one-family dwelling. I also want to say about the parking situation. Earlier tonight, you denied an application because of a driveway that was too narrow. In fact, Chairman, when the manager for that application began to say, oh, by the way, we can pull cars and you, I think almost verbatim, said, don't go there. This has already been resolved.
I could tell you why. Because he would have had to have bay windows for them to get out of the basement. And the bay windows would have been too wide into the driveway. And if you had bay windows there, a car would go in and possibly fall into the bay window.
The side driveway.
Yeah, the side driveway.
And the back of the building was only 7 feet wide, just as this application.
I'm just talking on the right side. He was looking to argue that they could line up cars on the right side. I couldn't do that either.
For similar reason, because of an inadequate driveway, you denied the earlier application.
Yes.
As it stands right now, this driveway is also inadequate. So you need
For different reasons.
You need to have proof. You need to see, before you make a decision here, how the applicant is going to fix this driveway problem. And I'm probably now, what I'm about to say is probably going to be told it's irrelevant, but just a few years ago, this zoning board heard an application for 156 Mill Street, 2 doors down. The applicant then wanted to...
I do not believe it was 156.
156, 2 doors to the west. It was the house right next door to 154 where I live.
But according to the testimony that was given here earlier, 156 is 60 feet wide, and that application was nowhere near 60 feet wide. It was similar to this, 30, I don't know, it was 30, 25, 35, no more than 35, let's put it that way. But it was no 60, so you may have the wrong address. But we did deny an application.
The applicant
and I want the lawyer to get notice. And it was an applicant who wished to change, similar to this where the building was a mess, change from a one-family to a 2, and it was denied.
And during that testimony, I was on the board at the time.
Yes, you were on the board.
The applicant said that he was going to have his mother live on the 2nd floor.
Yes, I know, no, the first floor, I know the whole story.
Right.
His family was supposed to live on, his sister was supposed to live upstairs, his mother was supposed to live on the first
But in any
floor.
case, it was almost right next door, similar situation, a one-family, existing.
Similar size lot.
Right. Wanted to convert to just 2, not a 3, and the zoning board said you don't have enough space for this. It's
Denied
denied.
the application,
Now,
that's 100% correct.
a 3-family is being proposed, and if you're going to be consistent with previous rulings, I think you have a lot to consider tonight before you make a yes or no decision here. But again, just in summary, the lot size is woefully inadequate. I don't see how, short of major renovation work, they're going to fix their existing driveway problem. And I think for that reason, you, as representatives of the township, should demand of the applicant that a new set of plans be produced showing how this problem with the building and the driveway are going to be resolved. So with that said, I thank you for your time.
Do you wish to cross-examine? Yes, you are allowed to cross-examine.
Mr. Shelton, I apologize. I don't know you. The board obviously does. I just had a couple of questions. Where do you live in relation to this property?
I'm at 47th Floyd Street, which is about a mile away.
From this property?
Right, but I did grow up next door at 154 for the first 4 years of my life.
You don't remember much about the property when you first...
I do have memory, well, my childhood home, I do remember it inside.
With regard, you understand, you indicated you were a member of the board previously?
Yes, he was.
Yes, it was.
And you understand that every application stands on its own merit, that precedents are not set by one determination, either approvals or denials. You understand that, don't you?
I'm very well aware that each case has to be judged on its individual merits.
So we don't have facts here as to that case that was denied. We don't know if it had 4 parking spaces. We don't know if they were going to put in
Did
sprinklers.
not have 4 parking spaces. I'll answer that question.
We don't know if it was going to be renovated to put in sprinklers. We don't know if it was going to be renovated to put in fire-rated sheetrock to protect it from the next door neighbor. We don't know any of those things from the application that you're talking about that I have no knowledge of. We don't know any of that, do
You
we?
are 100% right, sir.
The applicant was going to bring it up.
And there was going to be no sprinklers. I'll even tell you that part. Okay?
Thank you, that's all.
Yes. Does anybody have questions of Mr. Shelton from the board? No.
Thank you.
Do you wish to sum up?
Very briefly, Mr. Chairman, brevity is a virtue and the hour is later as it goes, and for those who are Knick fans, I surely don't want to deny you that opportunity. What we've presented to you is, yes, when on its face you look about taking a one-family home and making it a 3-family home, that quantum leap on its face stops everybody in their tracks. But what I'm asking you to do as a board, which you have not only a duty to do, but I'm sure you do on every application, is to take a look at the salient facts that support this application. We are taking a one-family home, but dramatically increasing the upgrade of this property from a fire and safety point of view, from an aesthetic point of view. We are also breaking down what you've heard now is a 5, potentially 6-bedroom house into 3 separate apartments. There's no doubt about that. However, by doing that, a 1-bedroom and a 2-bedroom home, as I think the board has the ability to take note of, has very little impact on your school system. They're preferred smaller apartments with a 6-bedroom house or a 5-bedroom house, or leaving this in this condition and slapping that coat of paint on that was referred to by several people. What you wind up with is a home that's going to accommodate potentially an extremely large family with people sleeping in a building that is unsafe. The CO will only be issued once the necessary inspection issues from the temporary CO have been addressed. But it can be made livable and habitable, and it's going to be on a 31-foot lot. It's not going anywhere else. There's no way to expand to the left or right to buy any other property. This property would be a brand-new home. It would provide housing stock, as Mr. Stimmel has indicated, for smaller and perhaps lower-income people. So it does meet your requirements of your master plan. It's going to be, there's off-street parking on this property, and its unique location across from Branchford Park and across from an area where there's, and the board can take notice of it, you're all much more familiar with this area than I am. However, I do traverse Mill Street on a regular basis. I can tell you that, as has been indicated here and by one of the board members, there's a plethora of parking along that side of the road. So to the extent that we ask for a deviation of 1 parking spot, we have the unique situation of being in an area, unlike many areas of town, that don't have parking, that have a congestion on the street, to have an off-street parking. When you apply the standards of what's known as the Residential Site Improvement Standards, or the RSIS, which calls for parking on-site for particular uses, the fact of the matter is, it also has provisions in it that allow you to consider, not to use it as a definitive, but it allows you to consider what parking is available on the street. And many times, in areas like where my office is in Kearney, here in Belleville, in North Arlington, in Harrison, there is not a lot of on-street parking, and that's why it becomes so critical. We've got off-street parking. We also have an area that has plenty of on-street parking. So for those reasons and what we've presented to you in the record, I would just ask that you give consideration, because without that, what we've got is a home that can't be, according to what we've heard here this evening, nothing could be put on that lot. If this house was knocked down, nothing could be built on it. Nothing in this zone, 0. So there's got to be some use for this, and why knock down a house and then come back before?
Wrong.
That's wrong.
That's
Didn't you
100%
indicate it
wrong.
was a 50
If
foot?
you knock that house down,
50-foot requirement, Mr. Mayor? Isn't that what you indicated before?
It's pre-existing lots, if there's a house on it, it can be rebuilt.
If it's knocked down
If it's not
rather than burned down?
well, even if it's burned down.
within 2 years, I believe.
Yeah, well, again,
Let me explain something. You're an attorney.
I most certainly am, for
Thank
46 years.
And are you a land use attorney? You an expert?
I never consider myself an expert, Mr. Chairman.
Well, let me explain
I've handled
something to
about
you.
700
Let me
applications.
explain
I was a zoning board
something to you.
attorney in North Arlington for
Oh, you
26
were?
years.
Okay.
Yes, for 26 years.
All right, well, let me explain something to you.
Thank you.
This
I
board
can always learn. I do every day.
cannot require somebody not to develop their property. Now, like he said, if you want to knock the property down, you
No, he
knock the
doesn't have any
property
desire
down.
to.
If it burns down, I don't even care what happens to it. We cannot prevent you from putting something on the property.
Yes, I agree.
And the minimum thing would be a one-family house.
Yes, that would be correct.
Which is actually what's there right now.
That would be correct.
And thank you for saying that's correct.
But he's not going to knock it down. What he's attempting to do is bring it up to a dramatic increase in the code, revitalize it without increasing the number of bedrooms, without altering what your parking requirement would be if this existing home were under the scrutiny of today's parking requirements. So that's basically, and yes,
If you ask me right now,
yes,
no one is using that backyard for parking, right now. And Mr. Hurwitz's testimony is, even if you made it wider, the amount of parking spaces would be very tight back.
yes,
Mr. Hurwitz gave that testimony.
yep, and I agree with Mr. Tennant.
And you
Yes, I
agree with him, that's nice
I do,
that you
yes, I
agree
do.
with him.
It's a tight
It's
fit.
very, very tight,
It's a tight fit,
okay?
but it's there.
So now, he bought this property, he knew what he was buying,
Absolutely.
wanted to remodel it. I have no problem with him remodeling. That doesn't mean this board has to allow him to build three units.
That's correct. That's why we're here, Mr.
I
Chairman.
know that's why you're
we're
here.
here. We've provided you what we think are facts that support the request that we've made to you. The board has that determination. I heard Mr. Rinaldi talk about how the board has all, there's no doubt the board has the authority to make that determination. We think we've provided to you enough facts and enough reasons why it makes logical sense from the municipality's point of view, from the township's point of view, to let this property be revitalized in that area.
Okay.
We motion to vote.
I have to open the board to discussion first.
Could I just make one more comment, or?
No,
Actually, I have something salient to say. All right.
I have nothing to say, trust me. Let the board vote.
You're very rude, Mr. Chairman.
Do you want to say something? What do you want to say?
One quick one. A comment was made a few moments ago that a 2- and 3-family structure like this won't have any impact on our schools. I beg to differ. In January of this year...
No. He didn't say that.
This is
He
testimony.
said a 2 or 3 because it's only 2 or 1 bedroom. That's what he said. That's what he said. Let's get that straight.
This is listed as a 3-family house.
3-family house, 2 2-bedrooms, and 1
Right.
1-bedroom.
Right.
Okay?
And what our superintendent in January of this year said, that of the newest 2-family houses that had been built in Belleville, those 9 2-family bedroom houses had already produced 15 new children to our district, a district that is bursting at the seams. And if you don't believe me, if you don't accept, you can ask Ms. Bennett Meany, who is the president of the Board of Education,
I would
to
not
confirm what
argue
our
with you on
superintendent
that.
said.
I would not argue with you on that.
All right.
Okay, now, any discussion on this before we vote?
I have something to say.
Go ahead.
This project, I think is gonna be something great for this area. This project right here is gonna lift this area. This area right here, right now, has a negative stigma. And if you look at what that stigma is, because it's too close to north, everybody thinks that people don't want to say it. So this gentleman, this entrepreneur, wants to build this very beautiful property on this street, Mill Street. He's gonna build it up. It's gonna look like a fantastic building. It's gonna conform to our streetscapes. We're gonna have parking. There's additional parking across the street. I think this is a fantastic project. And I think definitely board is something that we should.
Well, I want to add to that. What I'm going to add to is the property that was mentioned by Mr. Shelton before. They couldn't do nothing with it. It was a similar thing. It was not housable because it was such bad shape. I think Mr. Giordano was on this board when we heard that case. And Mr. Mafucci, if I remember correctly. And Mr. Shelton. And what happened was we denied the two family. They remodeled the property beautifully, as a 1. And it sold for a high price. I forgot what it was. but it was a very high price, which I was in shock when it sold for that much for a one family. So, no matter what gets remodeled here or built, it's gonna add to that neighborhood, whether he remodels the current building or whether he changes it to a three-family. Either way, it's gonna be good for the neighborhood. And that's how I feel, that you could remodel this building as a one, and it would still add to the neighborhood, and you would still get your money investment. I can tell you that right now. So, based on that, number one, I think the lot is undersized. Number two, the parking is too tight in the back. Number three, the driveway, you would have to cause damage to the building just to widen it 1 foot. Okay? There's a lot involved in this. He bought it as a one. He knew it was a one when he bought it. Remodel it and sell it. I don't know what he paid for it, I don't care. But if it was in such bad condition, he couldn't pay that much. Okay, so I see no problem with approving, well, not approving this, denying it as a 3 and let it stay as a 1. Other board members, it's up to them what they want to do. But that's how I feel on this project. And I also voted no on the other application. So, I leave it up to the board what they want to do, whatever motion they want to make.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I have to agree with you on what you stated right there.
thank you.
So we do a motion to deny?
I don't know if you want to make that motion.
Motion to deny.
Anybody else want to talk? No? Do I get a second? Seconded by Mr. Giordano.
So the motion to deny, a yes is to deny.
A yes is to deny. Okay, clerk, call the roll.
Aguirre?
So if I say yes is to...
Deny the application.
Oh, no, then I say no.
Giordano?
Yes.
Lefucci?
Yes.
Catalino?
Yes.
Soriano?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Del Garcia?
Yes,
Thank you.
application denied, 6 to 1.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, now I want to make
I have to
Mo-
memorialize.
huh?
I have to memorialize.
We'll do that when we come back. I want to make a motion to go into private session, please. Can we get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Meany. Clerk, call the roll.
Aguirre? Giordano?
Yes.
Lefucci? Catalino?
Yes.
Soriano? Bennett?
Yes.
Del Garcia?
Yes. We have to get a vote out of a private session. So I make a motion that we come back into regular session. Second, do I have a second?
Second that.
Second by Mr. Soriano. Clerk, call the roll.
What, voice vote even, or just?
All in favor?
Yes.
All in favor, yes.
Yes.
Okay, now, you want to bring up this resolution to be memorialized finally?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Matter of 69 Portland JT LLC, 69 Portland BE LLC, 67-71 Portland Street, application ZB 2024-01. Aguirre? Lefucci?
Yes.
Catalino? Soriano?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
Del Garcia?
Yes.
Case
That's it?
memorialized.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second that.
Oh, I made the motion. I didn't know I made the motion.
You made the motion,